In a fog-draped Maine coastal town, every dawn, a cat's meow pierced the stillness. The residents of Harborview were baffled. Shadow, a sleek black cat with emerald eyes, perched at her owner's garage door, meowing with haunting urgency, her cries carrying over the rocky shore. 3 years ago, her companion, Anna, a beloved artist and daughter of the couple who cared for Shadow, vanished after a boat trip, leaving the town heartbroken. Now, Shadow's meows grew desperate, her gaze fixed on the garage, as if it held a secret. The couple, who adored her, felt hope and dread. Was Shadow sensing Anna, or mourning a ghost? Her cries wove longing and fear, echoing through the mist. What drove Shadow's dawn ritual? The truth would crash like a wave, leaving Harborview in tears. The mystery unfolded on a chilly April morning, as dawn painted Harborview's cliffs in pale light. Ellen, a retired baker and Anna's mother, was brewing coffee when Shadow's meow cut through the quiet. The black cat, her fur glossy despite sleepless nights, sat rigid on the garage doorstep, meowing with a raw urgency that sent shivers down Ellen's spine. She called Shadow, her voice soft, but the cat's emerald eyes stayed locked on the garage door, tail flicking as if it hid a truth. Shadow had lived with Ellen and her husband, Mark, since Anna, their artist daughter, vanished 3 years ago during a solo boat trip to sketch the islands. Anna, with her wild curls and vibrant laugh, had been Harborview's muse, painting murals with Shadow curled by her easel. But one stormy evening, her boat never returned, leaving only grief. Shadow's meows became her elegy, a dawn ritual that haunted the house. Every morning, Shadow darted from the couple's seaside cottage to the garage, meowing until her voice cracked, her cries drifting over the harbor. Ben, Anna's teenage cousin who lived nearby, followed Shadow, his hoodie damp from fog, worried she'd slip into the tide. His younger sister, Mia, 10 and full of wonder, insisted Shadow heard Anna's voice in the wind. Ellen asked neighbors. No odd noises came from the garage. The town's lobster bar hummed with theories. Maybe Shadow smelled Anna's old sketchbook, stored inside. Ben tried setting it by the door. Shadow ignored it, her meows sharpening. Ellen's heart ached. Shadow was Harborview's spirit, their tie to Anna's light. Was she calling to her lost friend, or unraveling in sorrow? The couple's love for Shadow was deep, but so was their pain. Mark, a stoic fisherman, checked the garage. Paint cans, fishing gear, nothing strange. Yet Shadow's meows grew wilder, waking the town, fraying nerves. Ben filmed Shadow's dawn vigils, posting them online with captions like, "She knows something." Mia taped Anna's photo to the garage, hoping it would calm Shadow. It didn't. At the bar, old Sal, a retired lobsterman, mentioned a strange boat seen near Anna's route years ago, its crew never traced. Ellen's pulse quickened. Could it mean something? The whisper of that boat spread, a faint spark in Harborview's mist. But Shadow's meows remained unanswered, her eyes boring into the door, a cat driven by an unseen force. The mystery gripped the town, their devotion to Shadow tangled with loss. Was Shadow chasing a miracle or a memory that would never return? Harborview couldn't bear Shadow's anguish. Mark rigged a small camera by the garage door, hoping to catch what sparked her meows. The footage showed Shadow pacing, meowing at the door, sometimes clawing at its base, then curling up, exhausted as the sun rose. Ellen combed the garage, her hands trembling, finding only Anna's old easels and dusty canvases. The couple took Shadow to Dr. Lynn, the town vet, whose office smelled of seaweed and hope. She checked Shadow's ears, her heart. "She's fine," Dr. Lynn said, stroking Shadow's head. "Maybe she's grieving." Ellen shook her head, her voice firm. "She's not grieving, document. She's searching." Shadow's meows persisted. Every dawn, a relentless cry that stirred the town and rattled the couple's fragile peace. They tried everything. Ben stayed up with Shadow, playing soft music to soothe her. She still meowed. Ellen taped the garage door shut. Shadow scratched at it, leaving faint marks. The bar's cook, Josie suggested playing Anna's old voicemail, her voice calling Shadow for a treat. Mark found a recording on Ellen's phone, playing on the porch. Shadow's ears twitched, her head tilting, but her meows grew louder, a wail of longing. Clara, a retired Coast Guard, stopped by one foggy morning. "Cats sense things we miss," she said, sipping coffee. "Maybe Anna's closer than we know." Mark scoffed, his hands calloused from nets, but Ellen clung to Clara's words, desperate for hope. The town's nerves frayed. Some fishermen grumbled about the noise, suggesting Shadow needed a new home, that her obsession was unhealthy. Ben's eyes welled at the bar, his voice cracking. "Shadow's Anna's heart," he said, clutching Mia's hand. "We can't abandon her." Mia shared a story from school. A cat in Nova Scotia led its owner to a hidden letter, like a guide. "What if Shadow's like that?" she asked, her eyes bright. Ellen's heart fluttered. Could it be true? They scoured social media for Anna sightings, Ben's fingers flying over his phone. His videos of Shadow went viral, racking up thousands of views with comments like, "This cat's on a mission." But leads, calls, texts were dead ends, cruel pranks, or honest mistakes. One evening, a drifter at the bar, passing through, mentioned a woman resembling Anna seen sketching at a distant pier 2 years ago. Her boat docked nearby. Ellen's breath caught, but the drifter had no more details, just a foggy memory. The story spread, reigniting Harborview's hope. The local paper ran Shadow's tale, with a photo of her at the garage, captioned, "Harborview's Faithful Muse." They posted Shadow Watch flyers along the docks, begging for tips. But weeks passed, and the flyers faded in the salty air. Ellen sat with Ben on the porch one dawn, the fog thick, watching Shadow meow at the garage door, her cries ablaze through the mist. Mia crept out, whispering, "What if Anna's in there?" Ellen shivered. Impossible, yet Shadow's eyes burned with certainty. The mystery was crushing Harborview, their love for Shadow battling despair. Was Shadow's faith a sign, or a fading echo of a woman lost forever? One misty dawn, the world shifted. Shadow's meow morphed into a piercing, soul-shaking yowl, rattling the cottage. She clawed at the garage door, her cries cutting through the fog like a beacon. Ellen, startled awake, stumbled to the porch, her heart pounding. Shadow was a black blur, fur bristled, eyes wild, as if the door hid a secret she could no longer contain. Ben and Mia rushed out, half-dressed, their faces pale. "She's losing it," Mark shouted, grabbing a crowbar. Ellen's hand shook as she fumbled with the garage key, Shadow's yowls drowning her thoughts. The door groaned open, revealing the dim, cluttered space. Shadow surged inside, but Ellen caught her collar, her breath hitching. A faint sound, a soft, human whimper, drifted from a stack of crates in the corner. Harborview froze, the fog heavier than the sea. Mark's crowbar pried open a crate, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, curled up, was Anna, gaunt, shivering, with wild curls and tearful blue eyes. Shadow broke free, leaping onto her, yowling, nuzzling her face. Anna, frail but alive, sobbed, clutching Shadow, whispering, "I'm back, sweet girl." Ben screamed, a raw cry of joy, and threw himself into Anna's arms. Mia followed, tears streaming, her small hands gripping Anna's sleeve. Ellen collapsed to her knees, tears blurring her vision. Anna, their daughter, alive after 3 years, hidden in their garage. But Anna's hands trembled, her eyes shadowed with trauma, clutching a paintbrush with Shadow's name carved into it. How had she gotten there? Why now? Shadow's yowl softened, but she stayed glued to Anna, eyes glowing. Scattered sketches in the crate depicted Harborview's shore, hinting at her ordeal. The fog swirled outside, the garage air thick with questions. Was Anna safe? Had Shadow known she was there all along? The reunion was a miracle, but secrets loomed. Harborview held its breath, hearts ablaze, as the truth teetered on the edge. Anna's story shattered Harborview. She'd been swept away in a boating accident, rescued by a rogue crew who held her captive on a remote island, forcing her to paint forgeries. Shadow's paintbrush, tucked in her bag, kept her tethered to home, through years of isolation. She escaped, stowing away on a supply boat, and hid in the cottage garage, too broken to face her parents. Shadow's meows, sensing her scent through the crates, urged her to emerge. The town wept, not from grief but awe. Shadow wasn't just a cat. She was a lifeline, proving love persists through loss. Ellen hugged Shadow, tears falling. "You brought her home," she whispered. Anna, scarred but smiling, held Shadow, her blue eyes brightening. The family and neighbors gathered on the porch, hands brushing Anna, stroking Shadow. The garage, once a place of mystery, became a symbol of hope. Ben and Mia clung to Anna, their cousin restored. Townsfolk brought lobster stew, quilts, vowing to help Anna heal. Shadow still padded to the garage some mornings, but her meows were soft content. Harborview would never forget her lesson. Love endures, even in the darkest times, urging us to hold tight to those we cherish. Shadow's story is incredible, isn't it? Her love brought Anna home and melted our hearts. Subscribe for more heartwarming animal stories that'll lift your soul. Hit the bell so you don't miss our next video about a dog's epic quest. Comment below. Has your pet ever sent something you couldn't? Share your story with our Harborview community. Dive into our playlist for more touching tales, and join us to celebrate the magic of animals. Let's keep these stories alive together.